to the speakers, can I please request all those who are interested in this topic to be on this side, and all those who are talking to be on the other side of the hall, if you hear me. So I would like to invite Mario, my dear friend, the second most popular account for the last 8 days on Twitter. It's just not me appreciating him because he's one of my best friends, and we spend a lot of time together. He told me not to reveal his location, so I can't tell more. It's also it's the biggest name in the world, from politics, from finance, from technology, and practically all the industries, appreciating him. And yeah, by the way, let's not forget there are a lot of people who are demonizing him as well. And I think that's the path to success. That's a big sign that Mario is actually achieving big success in what he's doing. I'd like to invite a fireside chat of Mario with somebody who's exactly not in these shoes, but at least capable enough to hold a conversation on that topic. Can I please invite Kristina Lucrezia? Kristina? Kristina? Let me call her. Kristina. Kristina, is the fake coin telegraph ETF approval taking over all of your time? Okay. Anyways, while I'm trying to fetch her, everybody knows that Mario can speak about endlessly, 48 hours in a stretch and 72 with half an hour of sleep, right? Cool. Okay, we have her. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Too much details to know. So I'll leave the stage to both of you. Kristina, Mario, please take a bit of time to introduce yourself, and I'll leave the stage over to you. You have 30 minutes.
How much time do we have?
I think 3 hours.
Amazing. Okay.
Yeah, only
we can start now then. Thank you very much, Gaurav.
How are you?
Very nice to see you.
Pleasure.
I'm pretty, moved today.
You're moved. Okay, I'll take that as a compliment. I'm moved as well.
Amazing. We're on the same wave. I think this is most important. So was it you who picked up the topic?
The topic of citizen journalism. I think it was Gaurav, but that's like all I do now. He makes fun of me all the time for being a journalist. Like, I'm still in crypto. We're still incubating projects. We're working with projects. We have shows in crypto. But it's, every time there's a mutiny in some country or a war in another country, then my life gets engulfed in that. So that's been my focus.
So you do not consider yourself a citizen journalist?
Look, I kind of have to now. Like yesterday, I was about to go to sleep, and then this is crazy, by the way. Yesterday, I was about to go to sleep, and then I get an invite to go up on stage with the IDF, the Israeli Defense Force. So I go up on stage and ask them questions. So it's hard not to call myself a journalist when I do that. And that was unexpected. I was literally about to go to bed. But it all, we're still focusing heavily on crypto and like how that links to crypto. Because we're like, all right, citizen journalism, crypto, I don't understand the link. Well, we've decentralized the way we collect information. Like yesterday, I've messaged an Al Jazeera journalist, say, hey, congratulations on your work. It's like, oh, thank you. You're one of my sources. So I realized that when we covered the mutiny, when we covered the war, the Israeli-Palestinian war that we're covering now, is the media's coming to us for sources. So I started thinking, like, how did we become so good at collecting the information before anyone else? We've decentralized that process. So we have a team of volunteers, people on the ground from Israel, from Palestine, from Lebanon, from Iran. We send the news in that group from, sources on the ground, and then they validate it before we post it. And we ended up doing it earlier. It's like people talk about decentralization not being efficient, makes sense from a technological perspective. But for us, we've been beating the media when it comes to news. So it's worked pretty well.
Okay. This is frustrating for me. You know why? Because you mentioned speed. And well, I know that we are all battling for speed in journalism, but this is actually what differs, in my opinion, journalism from sources. So sources publish fast, and journalists analyze and then publish. I'm pretty sure that a lot of the people in the room know what happened today, so I want to comment on this. Yes, it was a fuck up. It was a fuck up of my team. Unfortunately, there was a person who didn't follow the protocol, and without having our normal procedure for checking all the sources before publishing a news. Actually, if you see, you cannot find any article published. So it was an SMM and a social media post. And yes, this was disastrous. And this is an example of what cannot happen. But this is what happens when we are having constant pressure to be the first with every news. And this is not a problem of journalism per se. It's a problem of the society and of the technology. I'm talking about indexation on Google. I'm talking about social media. If you're not the first, you're the last. There is no second, third, etc. And this is a big problem. And in this sense, citizen journalism, that, again, in my opinion, is maybe not a very right term. It's not a journalism, it's sourcing, it's blogging, it's anything that is giving pieces of information that need to be analyzed, have this opportunity and freedom to actually publish something that is not 100%.
Not at all. So when you posted when the employee posted that article, did they say it's unconfirmed or they posted it as confirmed?
I haven't seen the tweet. I just know the consequences.
Was it confirmed?
Yeah, it should have been reported.
All right. So that's like what we do. We post a lot of things early, but if they're unconfirmed, they're unconfirmed, especially when it comes to war. Like if I'm announcing something like the mutinies ended or they're approaching Moscow or there's missiles heading to Tel Aviv, we have people on the ground waiting for our announcement to decide whether to leave a country, to leave Lebanon, whether to go in their bunkers. So we point out something is unconfirmed. We point out the source. I try, like the importance of being right in today's age of misinformation is more important than being first, because first is good. But when people go to you for what's true, what's fact, that's significantly more valuable.
I totally agree, but don't you think that just putting this reportedly in every headline that you post, well, it's still faking it?
Depends. Like if you're putting it's unconfirmed, you put the sources, like, you know, you're using the ETF example, which I woke up to and I saw, because we have the crypto show running and they're talking about it right now, the guys. And then if I
wake up like a couple of hours ago,
I woke up an hour, just like 2 hours ago, for this. But so you're talking about the ETF. We've had similar issues. Like we've reported yesterday, we reported it live on the stage. Someone came up, someone that works in the Pentagon came up and said, the Iranian president has drawn the line and will not be involved. And that was communicated directly to Israel via the United Nations official communication, which is historic. We reported that. And then about half an hour later, it turns out to be untrue. Not untrue completely, but it was an unofficial statement and answer to a journalist. So yes, there will be times where, you know, this is a world-changing report. Iran getting involved is expanding the war beyond where it is now. Iran not getting involved is pretty much limiting the war to the current borders. It's like very significant news. And when we reported it, it went viral. Everyone was using our report. The media was using our report to report it. So these things have an impact on a war. Like the stress that I face every day is crazy. But it's tricky. Like I think people don't understand, and I empathize with you. I think people don't understand the difficulty of balancing out running a business. We have to be first. You have people know that when it's on Cointelegraph, it's confirmed and you're early in reporting news. But at the same time, the impact you have on the markets, the impact you have on I know it's dark, but it's people dying, is real. And you got to balance out those responsibilities, because I'm running a business as well. I didn't start as a journalist. The journalism aspect, which is a part of our business, but it came out of nowhere thanks to Sam Bankman-Fried.
I totally agree, but I think that it's a safe way to think that, well, in case something goes wrong, we had this unconfirmed. I mean, I totally agree with you, and yes, everyone has to read all the disclaimers. This is not an investment advice, and this is a sponsored article, and this is something that is not confirmed. But in the end of the day, we're putting information there, and this is what goes shared, gets liked, and I'm pretty sure that this half of the people do not pay attention to the word unconfirmed.
They should. And we should make sure we put unconfirmed. Like mine was verified by Sky News and an Arabic channel, Al Arabiya. So it was confirmed by the media. But then it turned out to be untrue. I think when it comes to crypto, look, if you want engagement, be early. Put the sexy stuff there. But if you want to maintain trust, so people come to you to get fact, trust is significantly more valuable. And I won't name people, but we saw how many publications, how many outlets lost our trust in the crypto ecosystem since the FTX saga for one reason or another. So like for the audience and for anyone, you know, it applies to journalism, applies to everything. Engagement is great. And people are just dying for engagement now on Twitter and other platforms or on X. But trust is so much more valuable. That applies to everything, including every project on that billboard there. If you lose trust, you've lost your community, you've lost any credibility for your project. So I'd put that above everything else.
I totally agree with this, and I think it's very important to separate within your business, if it's a journalism business, marketing, and this journalistic trust. And unfortunately, sometimes marketing is taken over because of the tools that it uses, because journalism is not a fast process, while social media is like anything marketing related with the search engines, whatever that requires quick information. This is marketing. This is not quality research, but this is the conditions in which we work and we live.
Look, I obviously, we work through separate businesses. On my end, I've never accepted a penny on the political shows. I just struggle to do so because I just feel so responsible for the things that we're covering. And I don't think people will come to our show to know what's happening in a war if I've messed up with that trust. If I chased engagement above trust, I don't think people will come to know what's happening with a mutiny.
But don't you think it's about also different points of view? Because I know very well a lot of people who do not want to follow you because they think that you take a particular stance that, for example, for me is pretty.
Tell me, what's the stance?
Correct? No, for me it's actually correct because you represent different points of view. But you know that this is now a very big topic. Representing the Palestinian point of view is considered as supporting terrorists. And I totally disagree with it personally, but this is what happens also in the information.
I'll tell you this. Look, I know I'm doing something right when everyone hates me. Every day I wake up to messages. People on the Israeli side saying, Mario, you're being anti-Semitic or you're supporting terrorism, whatever. And then people on the Palestinian and the Arab side saying, Mario, you're being a Zionist. Every day, that includes employees. I lost one of my best friends, still my friend, but I lost him in the business because he thought I was too biased on one side. I'm about to lose one of my other team members because he thought, no joke, I was too biased the other side. I'm covering one of the most sensitive topics ever right now, something I've avoided for as long as I can. Historically, been extremely sensitive, extremely polarizing.
Why did you feel that you cannot avoid it anymore?
Right now, I can't avoid it because they're having a war. So I have to cover it. They kind of force me to cover it. But the difficulty of doing it and doing it in an unbiased way. I had 2 days ago, I had a pilot from the IDF that bombed Gaza come up on stage and have a discussion with a resident in Gaza, a journalist that had half of his family killed by Israeli airstrikes. Imagine the delicate situation you're in when you have those two sides and you're trying to get them to have a cordial conversation. Now, I got hate from both sides. On the Israeli side, I got hate because I got someone from Gaza to talk to a soldier, and that soldier is talking about, he said some things that are pretty controversial. He's like, I would bomb a hospital even if there's patients in case I was ordered to do so. And I got obviously criticism on the Palestinian side for having what they consider a war criminal on stage. That's tough. That's my life. That's a lot tougher than whatever we're complaining about in crypto.
But can I get back to what you said? Like you couldn't have choice because they started the war. But honestly, I think that any person who is working with information, with journalism, has also the responsibility of what we are highlighting. And now this is the topic of the day everywhere. And yes, what happened, what Hamas did was outrageous. What is happening in Palestine is awful. But there were actually so many other war situations before that just didn't get the media attention. And what is the role of citizen journalists in actually bringing attention to what is not in mainstream media?
I have opinions. My job is not to share my opinions. I share them privately, like in events like this. I talk about them. I mention them because that's my personal opinion. And I would say we all like to say every life is equal. Well, why is it on one side you get 10% of the lives lost than on the other side? So these are points that I can make on a personal level. But when you're reporting, you have to. I got criticism on using Arab sources and Palestinian sources and reporting what is bias on their side. Well, how about when I use Hebrew sources and Western sources and vice versa? Again, I get criticism on both sides. So as a journalist, your job is to keep your opinion out of the way. And it's difficult. Like there's things that are happening in the region right now and that happened in the region. You see some of those videos. It's difficult to go to sleep at night. I literally dream about war now. And I went through the same thing during FTX, and I went through the same thing during the mutiny. You dream about this stuff.
But still, these are the biggest stories, and that's why you see it everywhere. But well, I mean, I do not underestimate the importance of what's going on now, but I think there are also other stories. And sometimes what we do not report about is actually making more impact than what we report on, just because we oversee some really important stories that could not get that visibility.
If I mess up a story, like obviously you're going through it right now with Cointelegraph, but if I mess up a story.
Thank you very much.
If I mess up a story, no, look, I'll make you feel better. You have no idea how crucified I get. Death threats are daily. If my team, by the way, we tweet 24/7. So similar to you as a team member, I've got a team that does it as well. And they mess up. They put the wrong word because they're using all these different sources. They use a politically incorrect term and stuff. Gaurav mentioned earlier, he made it as a joke. He can't share where I live. And he means it. I can't share where I live now. Even though I'm in Dubai. I live in Dubai.
I know.
So I experienced a small part of it during FTX, a bigger part of it during the mutiny. And I'm going to experience an avalanche of attacks as I cover this topic. And look, I know we've moved away from journalism to a topic that hits hard for a lot of people. It does link to decentralization one way. Indirectly, we've decentralized journalism. We have people in Gaza coming on stage now. They lost internet now. But it comes on stage from Gaza, and then afterwards we have someone who's bombing Gaza coming on stage. Very, very difficult to do. We still do our crypto shows. We're still incubating projects. We're still on the business side. But obviously my life gets taken over by these events. And you get a responsibility that I didn't want to be placed in that position, but we've taken that responsibility. I think we've done a good job covering these stories in an unbiased way. And then when you have both sides that don't know what side I'm on, whether I'm a Democrat, I'm a Republican, I'm pro-Palestine, anti-Palestine, etc. I think this is what unbiased news is. And finding anyone in life right now that's unbiased, very, very, being objective in today's world, it's not popular. You don't get engagement by being objective. You get engagement by having an opinion and farming engagement. The alternative to it is being trustworthy. So if you want to get engagement, if you want to gain followers, is be unbiased, fair, but be trustworthy, difficult. And that's what we're trying to do.
What's the goal for you? So gaining trust of whom?
Look, I'm building a business. I've always said that. But then my decisions on the political side are not making me money. They're moving our focus away from what makes us money. So we have AI shows, we have crypto shows, gaming shows, all these different things. But then every time we do, like when we covered the war, for a week, we did nothing. We did no sports shows. So it's obviously not making money. So then what's the point?
For a week.
Huh?
For a week.
We do
What's
political shows.
it's like, what do you want to achieve?
Yeah, so I'm trying to figure it out. Like for now, I just feel like the mission of what Elon is fighting for, I feel like I'm fighting that same war. I feel like I owe it, he's obviously supported us heavily. So I feel like the battle that we're fighting, the battle for censorship, like I try to be objective. There's news platforms that are pro-Palestine. They've been around for more than a decade. They've just been removed from Meta. They've just been removed. There's a law that's being passed right now in one country where you cannot consume certain information. I think we're all living our day to day, but once you understand how far censorship is going, I'm talking about the war now. There's a lot more than the war. Some things you just cannot talk about or you'll get cancelled. How far censorship is going, it's ridiculous. And I feel like an obligation to fight that. And, Elon is fighting that. And it's more than just a business battle. There's decisions he's made that have lost him money. And, I feel like I'm going down a path that's moved away from my initial goal of building a business. But I'm sure it will end up, it helps from a business perspective, it helps everything else. When I get a big reach, whatever show I do, I'm going to get a big reach. But, I shouldn't be, if I want to make money, I shouldn't be covering a war, that's for sure.
But do you think that a space without censorship actually can exist?
No.
So what is the limit?
I gotta, it's a delicate line. I'm trying to tread that line like Elon is, and obviously you flip-flop sometimes and they go down after you. So I'm trying to tread that very carefully. There is, we always like to say that no censorship, no censorship. There's things right now I can say on stage that all of you, at least a percentage of you will cancel me for sure. And I won't say them because I can't build my business, my platform if I get canceled. So censorship is going to exist. There's ongoing attempts to censor me. Right now, there's attempts to censor me, and that will continue. But I got to try to get, and the same applies to Elon, you got to try to come as close as possible to it without crossing the line and no longer existing. Because there's a lot of people that a lot of us canceled, but they're not as polarizing as we make them out to be.
Well, in my opinion, there is like censorship is an illusion because we always have it or we always not have it. The same as bias, we all have it, and we also can tell that we do not
Can I
have
ask
it.
you a
But
question? Can I ask you a question? Have you put out a positive piece on Sam in the last year?
I have to check. But I think important is what does it mean positive?
Positive. Like right now,
This is pretty subjective, no?
it is subjective, but then if a narrative it goes down a certain path, you cannot veer off that path too much, or you'll end up losing. Like if you find out something positive about Sam, he's done very bad things. But I can't think of anything positive. I stopped covering Sam for a long time. I'm kind of sick of him. But I'm using him as an example. If anyone says anything positive about Sam right now, and this is a very small level of censorship, you'll get attacked like crazy. You cannot talk, you cannot defend Sam. And I know people that I respect that have been cancelled because they tried to give a different perspective on Sam because of the damage he's caused. And then obviously the same applies here. If I say anything positive about Palestine because of the horrific things that Hamas did, you'll get cancelled for it. So it will apply. And I think it will apply. Your audience will tell you what you can and cannot censor because it will hurt you on the engagement level. It's
But
the game we play.
Maybe without being positive, trying to be objective and not being negative is already a way to actually present it differently.
You're treading that line. Yeah.
And in the end, I mean, this for me, at least the difference between journalism and those who do tweets, or how you call it now.
Posts, yeah.
Okay, whatever, but posts. Okay, we get back in years and years to posts. Okay, amazing. But journalists they do mistakes, but they're working with this days and nights. This is their bread. This is where they take their inspiration, but also where they take their everything. So they analyze sources, they talk to the people, and then the best books are written by journalists because they are inside the topic.
Kristina, let me tell this. So I'm a fan of journalism, by the way. I respect journalists, and you cannot put all journalists in one bucket. A journalist right now that got killed in Lebanon covering the war is very different to a journalist hiding behind their desk, trying to get advertisers and writing some hit piece. I'll tell you about journalism.
Journalists and advertisers.
I'm gonna call out journalism, and that includes some crypto ones. So I'll give you an example of how rubbish journalism can be at times. Again, this doesn't apply to everyone. Okay.
I know. I mean, I can give you 100 examples, but yeah,
it's insane.
Curious to know.
You have one media company. So I had that covered with me. We have a legal case against NBC out of everyone. So when I did the mutiny, I had a hit piece written on me. I never even imagined in a million years I'll have a hit piece. All right. So I had the NBC write a story putting the FBI and the SEC respond to complaints about Mario Nawfal. Respond to complaints. Imagine that. Like, anyone can make a complaint. They respond. They're like, the response could be as stupid as, hey, we can't comment on this complaint, or please send us more information to prove your stupid complaint. A crazy response. So NBC puts out that article. Now, it took me a month of investigation to find out that the two sources they used, one of them admitted that they have no evidence. They admitted that they were threatened to give the evidence. They admitted, that's in public, that they asked NBC to remove them because they have no evidence. Turns out they were tricked. And NBC said, too late, we can't remove you. The other source, that's one source. The other source, which threatened the first source behind him, we have them on record admitting to lying to the FBI and to NBC, and they explained why they lied. We send that to NBC's legal department, not everything yet, and they decided to ignore it. Now, it gets worse, because what do crypto news outlets do? And I won't call them, but if anyone cares about the rubbish, just Google that story and find out those ones. They use that same story and change the article from the FBI and SEC respond to complaints to the FBI and SEC likely investigating Mario Nawfal. You see how you report one story, and I'm sure it probably happened today. One story gets reported and then gets taken out of proportion across the board. This to me is not journalism. This is sensationalism. This trying to get engagement. And this is going to happen in crypto. This happens in bull markets, where one story becomes a very different story. We all fall prey to it just because it gets engagement. And I've been the victim of it, as well as the other side.
I totally agree. I tell you more. There are some media outlets that fake the time they publish. So they basically publish the URL without yet the article itself. I was just telling
I'm so sorry.
An
We're
insight.
running out of time. Yeah, a lot of people are leaving because of the time, and our other speakers will miss out. I'm so sorry about this. So sorry.
We have a big responsibility. Let's use it, and also let's not.
Yeah, look, same thing with me. You know, we'll keep doing what we're doing, whether it comes to crypto, outside of crypto, and I think for us, verification of news is more important than timing. So, good luck dealing with what happened today, and I'm sure we'll deal with it both of us again.
For us as well, quality is definitely more important than speed.
Cool. All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Super sorry about breaking the grand discussion, but a lot of people were like, is it still crypto? Thank you, guys. Thank you.